You are not screwed up. Nothing is fundamentally wrong with you. You're not effed up. I hear that a lot from people, like, especially when we get into work. Like, what the F is wrong with me? Or, oh my gosh, I am so screwed up. And I'm here to tell you, you're not. You are not. And how do I know that? How can I guarantee that? Is because you're here watching this video. And the only people who, in regard to internal work, are really, okay, a little screwed up, are maybe people that have a personality disorder. And if you had a personality disorder, you wouldn't think anything was wrong with you. You wouldn't be watching this video because you don't have any problems. Everybody else has the problems. So the fact that you are watching this video tells me you're okay. You're okay. And you're like, oh, you don't know, Brita. You have no clue what my life is like or how screwed up I am. Just bear with me. Hi, y'all. I'm Brita, and I help my clients get to the real reason they think what they think, they do what they do, they have the life that they have. And hopefully, inch by inch, layer by layer, we get to the real reasons and shift things so that they can have the life that they really want, so that they don't have the same patterns that they have had, recognized or not. And today's video is going to be about the fact that you're not screwed up. You're not. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care what mistakes you have made or what patterns you have. I can tell you, you are not fundamentally messed up. What is happening every single time when I work with people and myself is that we discover that what is happening is a coping mechanism. A coping mechanism many times based on very old childhood hurts, childhood traumas, childhood interactions, sometimes even into adulthood. All that's happening is something has happened, and internally you were like, oh, that's bad. I don't want to ever feel that again. That sucked. And so you form a belief, oh, it happened because X, Y, Z. And so internally your subconscious is like, oh, well, we need to shift that so we don't ever feel that feeling again. We need to do this so we don't ever feel that again. It's all subconscious. If you were conscious of it, you would have changed it by now. And we're completely unaware of it because it's in our subconscious. And so we don't know why we do what we do. It doesn't seem to make sense. And yet, when we are highly intelligent people, we are so used to just immediately rationalizing. We're really, really good at it. And so we're not even conscious of the fact that we are rationalizing something that doesn't, on paper, make sense. And I know I did this most of my adult life until I really started getting to the bottom of what was going on in healing. On paper, I looked great. On paper, my life looked great. I knew I was smart. I knew I had tenacity. I knew I was courageous. I had the law practice. I did good work for my clients. I had the family. I had the stuff. I had the house and the trips and the boat and the Mercedes and the things. And yet, A, I wasn't happy. And B, I had a couple areas in my life that, regardless of how many books I read, regardless of the therapy, regardless of even coaching, not this kind of coaching, I'll tell you that much, I couldn't get over. I would get jazzed up and I'd be like, oh, this is the answer. This is the answer. I'll just do the, 10 easy steps and that will fix the problem. And sometimes things would get better for a short period of time, but ultimately it always reverted. It always went back to the old pattern. And so then I felt like, oh my gosh, what the hell is wrong with me? Like something, I don't know what it is, but something must be fundamentally wrong with me, because I've done some pretty incredible things in my life, and yet I can't get over this. I can't get on top of this. I keep doing things that I know are not in my best interest, that I know I don't really want to do. And yet I keep doing them over and over and over again. What the hell? And I felt very alone, because I felt like I'm the only person who does this, other than, really screwed up people. It was embarrassing. And then I shamed myself. Like, again, like something must be really fundamentally wrong with me. And it was very confusing. And, you get to a point where you're like, well, I guess this is just my life. I guess this is just my life. What was worse was that I didn't see patterns in other areas of my life that I kept repeating. That was even worse, because then it was all somebody else's fault. I just had bad clients, or I just had bad staff members. Like, you just can't get good help anymore. Looking back, it wasn't a help issue. It was a me issue. It was 100% a me issue, but I didn't see that. And so I wasn't getting the results that I wanted to get in life. And I see this with my clients all of the time. I remember I did a relationship with money workshop. This was years ago. And I had a client come out. She came all the way from Florida to Dallas to do this workshop. And the first question that I generally ask in a workshop like this, or a retreat, is, why are you here? And they're not sharing this answer, but why are you here? What is it that you hope to get out of this? And we did the workshop and we made some good progress. And at the end of the 2 days, we went back and looked at that question, why are you here? And did you get some clarity on that question? Did you get some answers that you wanted to get? And I will never forget she shared this voluntarily, and she shared that, it makes me emotional. She shared that and she had written it on a little slip of paper, that her why she was there was to get some answers to why she was so effed up. And I can tell you, there was nothing effed up about this woman. Nothing. She was an amazing woman. She is an amazing woman. She was doing amazing work. She was doing incredible things for her family. There was nothing wrong with her. She had some glitches, some things that need to be addressed and adjusted. That was it. I think of a friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine, who on paper, if anybody could say, yeah, he was pretty screwed up, it would be my friend. And I say this with love, without judgment. He I've known him since I had known him since I was 3 years old. After high school, he had a really substantial methamphetamine problem. And in his, with all of that entails, and in his late 20s and early 30s, he got his life together. I mean, got his life together. He got off the drugs. He pursued his profession, his calling, which was to be an opera singer. He got a job at the Met in New York City as an opera singer. Like, holy crap. He married this amazing woman. They had 2 kids. They're living in New York City. Like, he has gotten his shit together. He has an amazing life. And it took him less than 5 years to blow it all to hell. To blow it all to hell. He lost the job. He blew up his marriage. Like, he did that. She finally had enough and left with the kids, went back east. He had moved back home to Arizona by this time. The last time I saw him, he was working part-time at like a thrift shop. And then he died alone a couple years later. The last contact that I had with him, he had posted something on Facebook that alarmed me enough that I called 911. And I was not the only person. And he was angry about that. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. You post something like that, I'm calling 911 every time. When you look at his life, you could say, wow, yeah, it would be easy to say he's a screw up. Always has been. Clearly always was, and died a screw up. That's the easy thing to do. This is not excusing the hurt that he caused other people at all. But when one looks at what was actually going on there to explain it, there was nothing wrong with him. He had had tremendous childhood trauma, and his behavior was coping mechanisms. And you're like, well, how is using drugs making things better? How is that coping? It's not making things better. But again, looking at your subconscious, it doesn't know that. It's looking for relief. It's looking for relief and fast, and drugs do that because they don't want to feel what they're feeling. Well, drugs takes that away like that. And when he got the success, if you don't feel worthy of it, if you can't absorb it, if you feel guilty about it, or again, like you're just not worthy of it, you don't deserve it, you will blow it up. Ask me how I know. Ask my friend how he knows. Well, you can't anymore. He didn't feel worthy of it. He had had a lot of issues to deal with, and he unfortunately had never dealt with them. He had never processed, he had never healed. He had just kept moving on, just moving forward, not dealing with the past. He certainly had an intellectual knowledge of his past, but he hadn't dealt with it inside. So his coping mechanisms kept going. They kept going, substituting one addiction for another. People can even get addicted to drama, addicted to blowing their life up, because it distracts them from the feelings. It distracts them from the thoughts in their head. And unfortunately, he's not here now to do that work. He's fine. Okay, he's in a far better place where the healing is automatic. But he never did that work. And it makes me really sad because he was an incredible person. And he left an incredible ex-wife who still loved him, and 2 pretty small children who lost their dad, who will never have that experience with their dad. That is why you do this work. That is why you do this work. If he was still here, what I would tell him is nothing's wrong with you. You just learned how to cope in a way that worked at one time, or you thought worked at one time. It felt like it worked at one time, but it no longer works. It no longer is serving you. But we don't know how to change that, much less getting to the root of why we needed to cope in the first place. What was going on that felt so bad that we needed to cope? And this doesn't have to be huge, like childhood trauma, okay? This can be little things. I remember a dear friend of mine, we were adults. She was in her late 20s, and she went to court one day, and she was wearing this suit that she was really proud of, but it was kind of a bright color. And another attorney, I'm sure not meaningful, but meaning to, but made a comment about it, like, oh, that's a green suit. It changed her. Maybe not fundamentally. Again, this doesn't have to be huge like childhood trauma, but it changed her. She never wore that suit again. She never wore a bright color suit again. She pulled back, and there was nothing wrong with that suit, by the way. She pulled back on who she really was as a coping mechanism because she never wanted to feel that embarrassment again. We do this all of the time. So I'm here to tell you, I don't care what your circumstances are. I don't care how many times you've fallen down, how many times you're like, I'm here again. I'm smart. Why can't I put down the bag of chips? It's not because you're smart. It's because you're trying to deal with an emotional issue with an intellectual solution, and that's never going to work. There's a reason you're eating the chips. There's a reason that you overspend money. There's a reason that maybe you hold tight onto money to the point where it's affecting your marriage or affecting your practice or business. There is a reason for everything you're doing. And until you gently and lovingly start peeling back the layers and finding out what that reason is, because it's not what you think. That's another thing. It's not what you think. You're going to continue this pattern of behavior. You can take all the 10-step programs you want. You can take all of the coaching. You can read all of the books. You will repeat the pattern until you repair. Guaranteed. And that's what this work is about. It's not half as painful as you think. You're not going to find some horrible, terrible monster. You're really not. I know that's scary. Like, oh my gosh, I know I'm screwed up. If I do this work, God only knows what I'm going to find. That's not true. It's just not true. So if you get nothing else out of watching these videos, just the fact that you're asking what's wrong tells me there's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. You don't have a personality disorder that really can't be fixed. You just need to address some things. You just need some healing. And you can't heal what you don't acknowledge. And even if it's trivial or it feels trivial to you as an adult now, it wasn't at the time. And it's whatever it is, and it can be, again, big, it can be small. It can be somebody teasing you in the 2nd grade. True story. It's affecting you today. So I would just invite you to just not even do anything with that information. Don't try and fix it. Don't try and okay, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just sit with, what if Brita's not crazy? What if there's some truth to what she says? What if that was possible? What if I'm not screwed up? I just have some unresolved issues. How would that change how you feel about yourself? Okay, take care, friend.